I think we might have another nominee for the upcoming second annual Huge Embarrassing Failure Awards. If you thought last year was the year of the huge embarrassing failure, just wait until you see what I've got for you in 2024. There have been so many examples of embarrassing failure, especially in the last few weeks, that we might have to expand the show. We might not have enough time to honor those who have worked hard, who have busted their ass all year to fulfill their lifelong dreams of being crowned the failure of failures. You know, one thing that was proven last night in that fight between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, besides the fact that it's not a good idea to put a 60-year-old man inside of a boxing ring against a kid in his physical prime, but one thing that was proven last night, streaming services are not ready to take over the role of linear television. I know this is probably hard for the kids to believe, but we used to have this thing called pay-per-view. You paid $50 or maybe even $100 for a specific event, and you received what you paid for without technical problems. There was no such thing as buffering. There was no such thing as invalid traffic. When you paid for the event, you received what you paid for. The problem with cable television today, they are no longer producing quality content. If cable was still creating and producing the shows that they were broadcasting during the 90s and 2000s, there would be no such thing as cord cutting. Besides the rapidly increasing prices, one of the reasons that people have gotten rid of cable, nothing good comes on TV anymore. I know every generation thinks that their generation is superior. I know every generation thinks that the generation behind them is incompetent. And look, there is no doubt that a lot of these Gen Z kids are, well, I'll be polite and say a lot of these Gen Z kids are challenged. When I was in college, parents were bitching about our pants hanging half off our ass. When parents sent you off to college, their biggest concern was you returning home 4 years later with a baby. Today, you send your kid off to college, you worry about your kid coming home identifying as a baby. Dad, I'm choosing to identify as Tommy Toddler. Take off your shirt, I'm thirsty. Even though these Gen Z kids are challenged, I kind of feel bad for them because they have been robbed of quality entertainment. They have been robbed of timeless music. Streaming absolutely destroyed the music industry. Artists are no longer producing quality albums, classic albums, because record labels refuse to fund the projects because the labels can't recoup the investment. We have this abundance of streaming services and entertainment options in the palm of our hands, and it's incredibly difficult to find anything to watch, any good shows. MTV used to produce classic shows, The Real World, True Life, Yo MTV Raps. Today, MTV is nothing but 24 hours of Rob Doofus and that painfully boring ridiculousness. VH1 used to be the home of trash TV, reality shows, Flavor of Love, Rock of Love with Lorne Michaels, I Love Money. The show with Hulk Hogan and his family, The Surreal Life. You know why networks don't produce shows like that today? They are afraid that someone's going to be offended. Why are there so many cisgendered people on this show? Where is the diversity? Why am I not represented? Why didn't they cast a questioning non-binary bearded model with double D's? This is unfair! The woke fungus has been incredibly effective. The fungus has done exactly what deacons at Woke United Methodist designed it to do. The woke fungus has destroyed entertainment. You see it on MTV, you see it in late night television, and you damn sure see the effects of the woke fungus on Saturday Night Live. For decades, Lorne Michaels cast the most talented improv comedians that he could find. Over the past few years, Lorne Michaels, he has been less concerned with talent and more concerned with casting diversity. Now, to his credit, SNL has a very diverse cast of performers, writers, producers, but the problem is there's no diversity of thought. There's no diversity of content. SNL has alienated the vast majority of the country, causing ratings to plummet, and this once legendary show has been destroyed. If you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Link to the second channel in the description below. Earlier this morning on the second channel, I reacted to the disaster on Netflix last night between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. So when you finish up with this video, head over to the second channel and check it out. Historically, some of the most watched shows for SNL have been the episodes leading up to a presidential election or the episodes that aired immediately after. 2016, the episode immediately after the election, 9.2 million viewers. Now, that wasn't all that long ago. It was only 8 years ago. 4 years ago, during the weeks leading up to the 2020 election, SNL was averaging almost 7 million viewers. Well, KC, that makes sense. Everyone was at home keeping their families safe from the COVID. Those times were so dangerous. People living in woke cities and woke states, they might have been still complying with the draconian demands of Aunt Fauci, but by October of 2020, those of us living in the South, we had already returned to our normal lives months ago. Over 9 million viewers in 2016, almost 7 million leading up to the election in 2020. Now, with the 2024 election being full of controversy, with the media claiming that the country has never been more divided leading up to a presidential election, you would think Saturday Night Live would be able to take advantage of that controversy and draw record-breaking ratings. Last Saturday, SNL drew 4.4 million viewers, a decline of over 50% compared to 2016 and a decline of almost 40% compared to 2020. Question is, why? SNL's been on the air since the 1970s. This show reached legendary status decades ago. How the hell can a show that has been on the air for over 50 years lose millions and millions of viewers? KC, it's like you say in late night television, it's the host. Last week was hosted by Bill Burr. The musical guest was something named MKG. These people aren't stars. Lorne Michaels should book players from the WNBA. Those dump divers are huge stars. It's not Bill Burr's fault that SNL is struggling to draw flies to a fresh turd. It's not cord cutting. It's not the lack of mainstream guests and performers, which, in their defense, I know it has got to be incredibly difficult nowadays for SNL to book mainstream musical artists, mainly because they don't really exist. Looking at the Billboard Hot 100 in 2024, it's like reading a fucking eye chart. Shabuzi, Ratata, Playboy Cardi, who probably used to identify as Playgirl, Hosier. Who in the hell are these people? Even though the current cast of Saturday Night Live is substandard, it's not their fault that this show is a huge embarrassing failure. Can you even name someone on the current cast not named Kenan Thompson? The dude who's been on the show longer than most of these Gen Z kids have been alive? I don't know if Kenan Thompson knows this, but SNL is not supposed to be a career. It's kind of like college for comedy acts. You spend 2, 3, maybe 4 years on Saturday Night Live. Then you graduate and start making movies or TV shows. You're not supposed to stay on the show until you retire. You know, the cast of SNL used to be legendary. David Spade, Chris Farley, Tim Meadows, Will Ferrell, Chris Kattan, Molly Shannon, Sherry O'Terry, Norm Macdonald, Jason Sudeikis. Today, most people could not name a single cast member on this show because most people aren't watching this garbage. Why? I wonder if it has anything to do with the fact that 90% of the jokes on Saturday Night Live are made about Donald Trump. meaning 90% of the content on SNL is making fun of an overwhelming majority of the country. SNL's got the same problems that they have in late night television. Two platforms that are supposedly dedicated to diversity have zero diversity of thought. Believe it or not, it wasn't always like this on Saturday Night Live. I remember when I was a kid growing up in the 90s, SNL was absolutely relentless with Bill Clinton. Daryl Hammond had the role of Bill Clinton down to a science. They entertained millions of people with the Monica Lewinsky scandal. When Bush was elected in 2000, Will Ferrell did an excellent impersonation of W. Leading up to the election, Daryl Hammond was great making fun of Al Gore. Hell, I think they made fun of Al Gore more than they made fun of George W. Bush. Over the last 4 years, it was incredibly rare for SNL to make fun of Johnny B. Biden, even though Johnny B. provided them with unlimited material. They spent the last 4 years making fun of the Trumper, and he wasn't even in office. Leading up to the election, Maya Rudolph was playing the role of cackling Cam Harris, but they never really made fun of her. Matter of fact, the episode before the election, Cam Harris made a cameo appearance and they had a nice segment of fake laughter and woke love. It was the definition of cringe. SNL went from being fearless, SNL went from making fun of everyone to being afraid of making fun of anyone not named Donald Trump. Orange Man bad! As a result, they have lost over half their audience. You know, anytime there seems to be a systemic problem with an organization, I always look at the top. Problems in the NBA, I look at Adam Silver. Problems in the NFL, look at Roger Goodell. Problems with the Saints and Pelicans, I look at Gail Benson. Cowboys, Jerry Jones. And SNL, Lorne Michaels. Tomorrow, Lorne Michaels is going to be 80 years old. One of the things that happens as you age, besides the fact that you're at risk of being completely out of touch, as we age, we tend to mellow out. We tend to be less aggressive, especially men. We saw a great example of this last night with Mike Tyson. 30 years ago, if Jake Paul had bowed down to Mike Tyson during the middle of a fight, he would be seeing the birds. Last night, instead of Mike Tyson taking a cheap shot, he says, "Hey, Jake, I don't want to make you see the birds. Instead, let's go play with the birds." Basically, as he's gotten older, Lorne Michaels has gotten soft. Same thing happened with Howard Stern. And you know what? It probably happens with a lot of older dudes. It might even happen to me if I live that long. When I'm 80 years old, I doubt I'll have the same aggression and the same energy that I have right now in my 30s. You are not going to solve the problems at Saturday Night Live until you fix the problem with Lorne Michaels at the top. And NBC is never going to do that because I'm sure they feel like Lorne Michaels has earned the privilege of walking away when he wants to. Maybe they're right. Maybe Lorne Michaels has earned that privilege. I'll let you tell me whether or not that's the case in the comments below. But before you do, let me share a little fun fact with you. Since 2014, Lorne Michaels has also been the executive producer of The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. Now, what does The Tonight Show have in common with SNL? A rapidly shrinking audience. So you tell me, has Lorne Michaels earned the privilege of walking away when he wants to, even if that means the audience continues to erode? If Lorne Michaels is not the problem, what is the problem with Saturday Night Live? You tell me. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys tomorrow.